past couple of days, Jimmy Butler has been getting traction on wanting out of Miami and moving to a new team. And the two teams that have been talked about the most are the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. And Jimmy Butler, coming off a season where he averaged 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. He shot 50% from the field and 41% from 3 on 2 attempts. He is claiming that he wants to get a max contract after making $48 million this season. And next season, where he has a player option, which he's probably going to opt out, he will be making $52 million in that season as well. Now, before we get into the rumors, I kind of want to start off with how did we get here? So for everybody that was watching the play-in game between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler got injured later in that game and was unable to play against the Chicago Bulls in the next game. And then the Miami Heat ended up beating the Chicago Bulls in the play-in game, and the Miami Heat ended up losing to the Boston Celtics in 5. Now, towards the end of that series, Jimmy Butler had some comments saying that if he was healthy, the Miami Heat would have beat the Boston Celtics in that playoff series. Now, after Jimmy Butler had made these comments, Pat Riley had addressed the media and said that he did not agree with these comments at all. Jimmy Butler was not on the floor against this Boston Celtics team. Therefore, he should not be disrespecting this Boston Celtics team. And he thinks that if Jimmy Butler is going to talk about it like that, he should be on the floor to play. And including that, this offseason, we saw a guy like Lauri Markkanen get a contract extension with the Utah Jazz, but we did not see one from Jimmy Butler. And I don't think the Miami Heat are interested in giving Jimmy Butler the money to be a max player or to have multiple years on his deal. And if we look at a guy like Jimmy Butler, who is 35 years old, is coming off of a season-ending injury, I don't know if the Miami Heat are willing to give Jimmy Butler that money or that max player type of money. And if we look across the league, I do not know if there are teams who are willing to gut their roster to make the money match to go bring in a guy like Jimmy Butler. And to talk about some of the teams that may get desperate at the trade deadline, because I think the Miami Heat are more willing to trade Jimmy Butler than to just let him walk in free agency. These are teams like the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, or the Golden State Warriors, teams who have a lot of high market players like James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, and LeBron James, who may not be in championship contention. The Los Angeles Lakers are leaning on a 40-year-old LeBron James and a rookie head coach. The Los Angeles Clippers have two injury-prone players, but an injury-prone player in Kawhi Leonard, who was not able to play in this year's playoffs, the last year's playoffs before that, and I think he missed the last year's playoff before that as well. So, and they're also bringing in a new arena, and they want to obviously sell tickets. And as for the Golden State Warriors, you lose Klay Thompson. The Clippers decline a trade for Paul George, and I think they just need a second star to bring in next to Steph Curry. Now, the problem with this and the problem with Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat in a whole, I think people really forget on why they made the playoffs or why they made the finals in the first place this past season. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Jimmy Butler. He played phenomenal in the playoffs last year until he got to the NBA Finals, but we have to talk about the Miami Heat beating the Milwaukee Bucks when Giannis was hurt. I think a lot of things went the Miami Heat's way, and they got really lucky when they made it to the NBA Finals. And truly, I just don't think Jimmy Butler is the player that is going to extend a roster or extend a team to championship contention, especially if it's a team like the teams I just mentioned with the Clippers, Lakers, and Warriors, teams that are so far away from being championship contenders. I don't think that necessarily changes with Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is definitely asking for more money than I think he deserves because, yes, he did lead the Miami Heat to 2 NBA Finals. He led them to a conference finals run. But I just don't think that people understand how good of a situation Jimmy Butler is in with the best head coach in the NBA, a top 5 defender in Bam Adebayo who also can take ball handling responsibilities off of Jimmy Butler, and with some solid role players around them like Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, and you also have a very good rookie in Kel'el Ware who I think is going to be really good this season. And although Jimmy Butler is still a very good player, but it's just not a lot of things that teams are willing to do, or especially a lot of teams around the league are willing to do to bring in that contract or to send out so many players to make those contracts or to make the money work in a trade. And I definitely think Jimmy Butler does not want to leave Miami. I think a lot of these rumors are just a leverage play for Jimmy Butler to try and force the Miami Heat's hand. And I don't think this is something that is new for the Miami Heat. I think the Miami Heat are a team that will let you walk if you think you're asking for way too much money. And if we look at a fully healthy Miami Heat team, I think they still have a shot against a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference. I still think they can beat the Indiana Pacers. I still think they can beat the Magic or the Cavaliers in a 7-game series. I wouldn't give them a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks team. I wouldn't fully give them a series against the Knicks or the Sixers or the Celtics. But I definitely think this can be a second round or maybe even an Eastern Conference Finals team. But one thing I do not believe is Jimmy Butler is worth a max contract extension. And I think Jimmy Butler has his mind made up on trying to be a max contract player. And there may be some teams that are desperate enough to give him that type of money so he can come in and perform for that team. But what team is it going to be? I think Jimmy Butler's best option right now is to stay in Miami. And if he was to leave Miami, I think it's to be a third option type of player, because I don't think of him as your number two unless it's next to a top 5 player in the league. I just don't think that is the best option for winning if you are any team trying to bring in Jimmy Butler. So, I mean, these are some rumors that I wasn't really feeding into too much, but it looks like the rumors are starting to heat up. I mean, I always thought Jimmy Butler would go back to the Miami Heat. I always thought that he was not going to get traded. I just thought this was some smoke. I don't think there was any fire really there. But now that it looks like things are starting to heat up just a little bit and Jimmy Butler might not return to the Miami Heat, I just wanted to give my opinion on it. I still think Jimmy Butler can be a very serviceable player on an NBA team. I definitely think he could be a third star, kind of like what DeMar DeRozan is with the Kings now, or what Paul George is for the 76ers. But to be a guy who's going to be coming in as a second option for an NBA team, I don't think that raises your ceiling a lot. I really don't. And I also don't think that the Golden State Warriors are good enough to bring in Jimmy Butler and for them to transcend into a championship level team. Same with the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, if the Golden State Warriors bring in Jimmy Butler, they'll have a starting 5 of maybe Steph Curry, AirPods, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Trace Jackson Davis. I still don't think that team is good enough to win a 7-game series against teams like the T-Wolves, the Thunder, the Denver Nuggets. I just don't think that team is good enough to win a championship. And when you have guys like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler now, if he's on that team, the expectation is going to win a championship. So that's my opinion on this Jimmy Butler rumors. I just wanted to give my quick opinion on it since this conversation is starting to heat up a little bit. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think that Jimmy Butler will be on a new team following this NBA season? Do you guys think he'll be moved at the trade deadline? Do you guys think he'll be moved at all? And do you guys think it is worth sending out a lot of young players or trying to give up a lot of contracts to make that money work to bring in Jimmy Butler? And if you guys like this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.